Bob O'Brien, and I'd like to take you for a little trip around and inside of the new 2012 5 Series. This car is a car that actually has been changed slightly. The door openings are wider so that your entry and exit is easier. The seating and the interior has been upgraded. The leather is the new and the finest Dakota leather that BMW has ever put in an automobile. In addition, the steering column and the steering wheel has all the controls to allow you to control the complete functions of your iDrive and so on with one hand and also on the steering wheel itself. The seats are easily controlled. You have lumbar support, you have a bottom support, and you also have a back to the seat that actually is separate from the bottom, so that if you have need, like ladies or someone, you can actually open the seat up without changing the position of the bottom of the seat. It doesn't just rock back and forth, for instance. From a safety standpoint, BMW has done over the years probably more safety engineering than any other car manufacturer. A good example, I think most of you are familiar with the jaws of life that the EMT fellas devised in order to extract you from a car that you're trapped inside of. If you'll notice right here on the front of the back door, there's an extension. This extension was put on many BMWs 20 years ago. The reason for that extension is that in a frontal collision, it will keep the back edge of the front door outside of the front edge of the back door, and you will never be trapped inside the car again. So the EMT guys could throw away the jaws of life if you're inside a 5 Series BMW. I'd also like to show you that when you enter or exit the back door of a 5 Series sedan, you have excess knee room that was not here prior. Also, the cushion on the side of the seat has been reduced somewhat so that it's easier to get in and out of the car. Also, from a safety standpoint, you have an endless hook right here that the door handle actually links into so that in a rollover the door will not fly open. Up here above you have an open area, inside of which is a drilled fastener so that if you want to put a top rack for skis or traveling or whatever on top, it's already drilled, it's already taken care of. You just put the rack down, screw down the thumb screws, and you're all set. You don't have to use hooks or anything else on the car itself. And the little fin that you see at the top, we call a shark fin, that's your BMW Assist, which is very much like OnStar or any of the other companies that have an ability to communicate with the car. Also, the other thing that it does is if you're in an accident and an airbag deploys, it will automatically notify BMW safety. They will get in touch and ask you if you need assistance. If you don't answer them, they will automatically send 911 emergency to your position. The braking system, these are made from a material, the same material that football helmets are made from. So it's a it's called Cyclac. It's a very strong material. It also has an additional lens over here so that if you are in an emergency stop and you push the brake pedal hard, the minute that your anti-lock braking system comes on to eliminate skidding, this lights up at almost double the illumination to let anyone know behind you that you're making an emergency stop. The trunk position on this car is excellent. If you take a look inside the trunk, you have a completely flat floor. There is also something missing. A lot of people look in the trunk and say, gee, where's the spare? Well, there is no spare because BMW has a tire that they've designed very much like a lot of the other tires on other cars, except that it's a run flat. So consequently, you do not need a spare tire. The only way you know you even have a flat is if on the dash the tire indicator lights up and says you have a low tire, but you can continue to drive up to 100 miles without affecting the handling of the car whatsoever to get the tire fixed. From a safety standpoint, you're not going to be out on the side of the road someplace waiting for roadside assistance to come and change your tire. You also are not going to be exposed in trying to do it yourself. Point here, automatic closure, closes the trunk, locks it down completely so that you don't have to worry about whether or not you have the trunk completely closed and locked. Walking around this part of the car, the filler for the gas tank is on the right-hand side. Purpose for that is that it's on the opposite side from where the traffic is. One of the problems in safety with a car that has this on the opposite side where the traffic is that if you're involved in an accident that's a side swipe, it can tear the filler off of the gas tank and possibly start a fire. So this is a great safety feature. Very easy to get to. It's locks when you lock the rest of the car. If the car is locked, this is locked as well. The main surprise for 2012 is the fact that all cars are the manufacturers are trying to make cars more efficient as well as being safe. The one difficulty is that in many cases, if you make the car more fuel efficient, it also affects the performance of the car negatively. BMW, through driving dynamics, uses a group of different changes that they've made to the car to give this car an excellent fuel economy rating. One is, this is a 4-cylinder engine. The interesting thing about this 4-cylinder engine is that it actually has more horsepower and more torque than the 6-cylinder engine that it replaces. So in conjunction with this engine, which is 240 horsepower, it also puts out 255 foot-pounds of torque, which is 55 pounds of torque more than the 6-cylinder that it replaces. Then it's coupled with an 8-speed automatic transmission. The 8-speed automatic transmission gives a much more flexibility in transferring the power to the rear wheels. So consequently, we have this excellent rating of 24 miles per gallon in the city and 34 miles per gallon on the highway. Also, if you take a look at how things are arranged under the hood, you have simple little things like stainless steel adjustable hose clamps. Many manufacturers simply use a wire clamp. The hoses and everything inside the car are formed hoses. They're not just a straight hose that somebody bends around the corner, consequently, which may develop into a hose that sucks shut and causes a flow problem later on. Most of everything that you see under this hood is also based, again, for safety. If you notice, there is a dual firewall on this car. Consequently, if this is involved in a frontal collision, the engine is designed to be pushed down, break off the motor mounts, and push the entire drivetrain out from under the car before it ever enters the secondary firewall. Consequently, this will happen as opposed to that you do not have any penetration into the body box itself. When you're ready for your new BMW, come see us at Newbold BMW. We're always here for a test drive. We're willing to do anything that it takes in order to make sure that we give you a deal that's mutually acceptable to both. The best deal at BMW at Newbold.